All right. Well, it's about 5 to 9, and at this point, I haven't taken any trades yet. The gap scan, we've got a lower price stock, VLON, that's our leading gapper, up 182%, which is, a huge gap, but it's already given back a good amount of that. IMMX is our second leading gapper, up 42%. Popped up earlier to 250 and then sold off down here to 173. And I just didn't think that was going to work. So I left it alone. As it turns out, it's curled back up, but I don't know. So that's IMMX. I'm not sure about it. It's a maybe. I have it on watch. So what's the spot where I should be a buyer on it? So, right, that was a pivot that broke right there. Maybe if we have a pullback in this area, that could give another possible entry for a move higher. Let's see if it can hold this level. And let's try to keep the chat on topic with trade ideas today. Thanks, guys. So we've got 3.5 minutes to the top of the hour. Yesterday, overall market was a big gap up and then sold off. So that was sort of not what I expected. To be honest, it's kind of similar to what we had down here. We had this gap down and then a big green day. So we had that right there at the bottom. Uh-oh, does that mean, I don't know, if a pattern is forming that this is going to be at the top and now we're going to have a sell-off? I'm not sure, but I worry about that a little bit. I was thinking we were going to hold over this descending resistance line, right around there approximately. It's not a perfect line, but something like that. So let me get this right on the right spot. Okay, I like that one. And then this one. So if I connect these two, it's like right there. So either way, some people would connect this right here, and I'm connecting it to the top of the candle. The thing is, realistically, this and this are so similar, it doesn't really make a difference to me. You'll see that the place where what you want to look at is where it touches in the most places, because that's probably going to most closely be how other people have drawn that trend line. So I'm thinking kind of like that is the right way. But then, this obviously blew right through it. We could switch this to a 5-minute chart and just look at yesterday. So this is where we ran into that trend line last week. Tried to get it, but I mean, you could see just the way the price action was like right at that trend line. Right? Right up to it again there. And then yesterday we had the CPI numbers, which were good. And so we blew right through it. And I was like, okay, here we go. But we weren't able to hold above it. We came back below it, tried to get back above it here, and then sold off. So that's, big picture of the overall market, but it's something that I was looking at, and I was hoping that we would base out and hold this level now that we were on the other side of it, but we weren't able to. So I don't know. We'll see. That one's a maybe. Well, thanks for the suggestion that I should have some caffeine. I sort of try to avoid caffeine while I'm trading, because I have found that it can make me a little too happy to press the hotkeys, and I can get a little too aggressive. You know, you notice these things about yourself, and I just have found that that's been for me a little bit of a trigger, or it just makes me a little bit more likely to get aggressive. So, you know, look, in a certain market, that's exactly what I need, and in other markets, that's not helpful. Interesting. Okay. Let's see which one is this. Just gonna change my color on this to yellow. That's for the float. Okay. There we go. It's a little bit better. All right, so I'm gonna save the daily. Oops. Save daily. Save 5 minute. Save 1 minute. And save the 10-second. So we added the float in. I don't know if I think that's something that we added in. I asked our developers to put that on there. All right. Good morning to those tuning in on YouTube. Thank you guys for being here today. I hope you hit the thumbs up. Hope you enjoy the morning show and give you a little bit of a watch list. So my day generally, it starts the same. I sit down, I look at the gap scanners. So I've got my scans right over here, and these are sorted by leading gapper. You can sort it differently if you want. You can sort it by volume, can be helpful, but I'm going to sort it by leading gapper. And then I'm just going to start going through the charts. VLON, VLON, leading gapper, auto. So save these again. So VLON, as I mentioned earlier, you know, it had a nice squeeze there from 60 cents up to $1 a share, but it's pulled back off that level. CJJD, I have that on a side chart. I just noticed a green candle ticking up there. So this one squeezed up going into the close, but I don't know if it's going to be strong enough. Right now, it's got light volume with a bigger spread. I'm going to have to hold back on pressing the buy button. You know, again, if you had a little caffeine, I might already be in that trade. The thing is, as a momentum trader, at least for me, I jump quickly based on seeing green on the tape. It's actually, and it almost sometimes you can be chasing your own tail because you'll see green on the tape and then you'll buy. And of course, then your order is green. And if you're really like in the zone, you might not even recognize that some of the green you're seeing on the tape is your own order. So now you're like, okay, this looks even better. You can't filter out your own trade from the tape. So you just start seeing that green, and next thing you know, at least for me as a aggressive trader, I'm jumping on. So anyways, I saw a little bit of green. I had the side chart right there, CJJD popping up. I remember that happened one time a couple years ago. I had put in the order for 15,000 shares, sorry, 1,500 shares, and but I had accidentally typed it for 15,000. So I pressed it 3 times, and of course I got like a total, like a partial fill. I filled like 1,500 shares, and then I was like, whoa, there's 45,000 shares on the bid. This looks good. And so then I started pressing the hotkey Shift 2 because I was like, there's a big bid there. And I didn't even realize until later that I had, fumbled my own order. I just didn't even connect it. And, I mean, so when you get really dialed in and you're in the zone, I mean, it's easy to make that kind of just, look, you add 1 extra 0 and from 1,500, you're at 15,000. It can happen quick. And then your order is going to be on the book. So if you're like, for me, when I'm trading, because this is where I'm looking, right? I'm looking at the tape. I'm looking right here. This is like the road in front of me. That's the highway. And then my P&L over on the side is kind of like my mirror. I'll check it, or even my open orders, I'll check it, but I'm not staring at it. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this right here, and then I'm looking at the chart, right? That's what I'm looking at while I'm trading. And then, the P&L will be whatever it is when I close the trade. I mean, again, I'll glance at it, but when I'm really in the moment, especially on a fast moving stock or like a recent IP or like a fresh IPO, I'm just, those IPOs, some of the big ones like Airbnb, especially when they're expensive, you're punching the buy and sell button and you don't even know. You could be up 4 points, you could be up 8 points, you could be down 2 points. I mean, it just moves so quick, which obviously is very risky. And I can mention as always that trading is risky, so I'll put on my disclaimer. But yeah, I do find that sometimes, and in this market, because we've just had less volume and not as much liquidity, something like CJJD, I could have jumped in that at 628, and you see there's a nice green candle, but what is it lacking? It's lacking the follow through. It doesn't keep going. And that's what's been really frustrating, is that we've seen these moves and they don't continue. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is right now. And I'm just trying to be a little bit more cautious and slow down a little bit before I punch that buy button. But sometimes I think of myself as a dog chasing a squirrel. It's just so, it could be so reactive, and definitely based on intuition, right? I mean, a dog chasing a squirrel is like so deep intuition. It's hard to untrain that behavior. It's not impossible, but it's hard. Of course, as a trader, I think that reflex and that impulse can absolutely be to your advantage, to your benefit, if you're able to trade quickly in a fast moving market and make the right decision. It takes a while to get there. So anyways, someone say squirrel. What have we got? RNA. Yeah, 45 million share float, $15.38. IMMX. No. TCON. No. KYMR. No. I saw BIMI, BIMI on the scanners earlier. So someone's asking about using a Stream Deck. You can use a Stream Deck. I have one around here somewhere. Well, I have this one that I use for my broadcast, right? So that's helpful for broadcasting. I press that button and my disclaimer comes up, press another button and I go to my main. Anyways, you can use them for trading, and I have set one up that I've used for trading. I find it to be a lot faster to press the keys on the keyboard than to reach over and press the Stream Deck. But it just depends on what you like, what you're comfortable with. the nice thing about a Stream Deck is that you could press 2, 3, 4, 5 hotkeys at the same time, and you can add delays in it. So for instance, during regular trading hours, you could have one hotkey to buy 1,000 shares, another hotkey to set out a profit target plus 10 cents that goes off 1 second later, and maybe another hotkey that sets a stop at break even. And if you're depending on what broker you're using, the broker will allow you to place both orders and will automatically change the shares on the stop if your profit target gets fired. Other brokers would let you go short, which would be a problem. But you could do some complex things like that. I'm sure there's some people that have got that really dialed in, but I haven't found that to be super helpful. So anyways, I set one up and it was just sitting next to my trading station for a couple months. I pressed it like a couple times, and just in the moment, it's just a lot faster for me to press the keyboard keys. Penny stock, CRKN. Yep. So the way I find stocks, like the way I found the stock yesterday, that was traders in the room. Now, some traders use different tools than what I use. And some of them are good at finding recent SPACs or reverse splits or uplists. You know, there's some of these random stocks that I might not find on my scanners. But if someone mentions it and I take a look at the chart, initially I'll be a little hesitant because it's not on my scanner. So I figure there's got to be a reason. However, in the case of a recent IPO, a SPAC merger, or a symbol change, sometimes it's because we haven't added that new symbol to our database. So that's something that we're working on improving, the ability to add those faster. So it's like they'll be added the next day, but sometimes the exact day they're not available. For what it's worth, that's also a problem with broker dealers. Sometimes they won't let you trade those stocks pre-market on that first day, because they've got to add it to their database as well. So anyways, yeah, it's definitely a benefit of having a nice community of traders that are all generally looking for volatility and momentum. And someone, you know, it would probably be hard for something to be making a big move and for me not to know about it unless it was a OTC stock, which I don't pay much attention to, or a true penny stock, which I also don't pay much attention to. But there's others that do. So someone mentioned, you know, CRKN, penny stock, but we have scans for penny stocks. So let's see. We've got our penny top gapper scanner. So yeah, VLON is still the leader, but CRKN is second. IMMX is third. And this is just allowing stocks down to, I think, like, I don't know, 10 cents or 20 cents. Hey, good morning. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, this is up 100% today. It's I can't disagree that that's a pretty big move. So we've got about 15 minutes to the opening bell. CJJD is sitting with a spread of 593 by 628. So, you know, the chart, for just a chart perspective, could look okay because you're like, oh, it's a long over 628. It's 635 on the ask right now, right? But, you know, you've got like a 40-cent spread. So market makers are not willing to take the risk and tighten up the spread on it. And so as a result, if you buy at 635 and then sell at 595, the market maker is the one that's going to make the profit of the spread, right? Because it's the arbitrage that they'll buy and sell and then wait for the next person to come along and buy and sell. So that's why you can get immediate exits on your orders or entries on your orders, but it's because they're standing in the middle, you know, buying from people who are selling to people who are buying, and profiting from the spread. You know, so they're the ones that are making I mean, I don't know if there's market makers that don't have a red day in years. As long as people are trading, they're making money. But it is a risky business for sure, and it takes a lot of capital. Not just anyone can be a market maker. Hey, Sean, good morning. T-Con. Yesterday, I went from down 5,000 on the day, 5,200, which was $200 over my $5,000 daily max loss. But I took a couple more trades and I ended up finishing the day up 2,000. After fees and commissions, I don't know, probably up 1,800 or something. But a small green day. And honestly, as soon as I went green, I was like, that's it, I'm done. And then yesterday we ended up seeing massive liquidation, just tons and tons of selling, high volume selling on that stock. So, unfortunately, that's not what you like to see. And now I'm today not interested in going red 5,000 and not seeing anything right now that if I was red 5,000 would be giving me a good chance to recoup those losses. So I'm grinding, guys. I'm just small numbers. This has been the slowest stretch that I've been in for like 2 years. I mean, I'm just keeping my head above water right now. Small gains. It's nothing exciting. I can import my trades at some point, but I really don't have anything exciting to show for the last like 6 weeks. I haven't looked at where I sit in December because I was like, I don't want to get stressed out about it. And I do get stressed out about it. I look at where I sit on the, on the month and I'm like, I'm not where I want to be. So, that can be, that's tricky. But all things considered, my drawdown is pretty minimal. So let's see. I'm sitting, so this is these are my metrics right now. So I'm sitting in the last 90 days right here off of a high of like, I don't know. I don't know what the high was in here, but I'm not really on that much of a drawdown. Yeah, so that's kind of like you could see sort of, gave back a little bit at the end of October and then rallied back and made that back in November, more or less, but didn't net, in 30 days from the end of October to the end of November was like basically back to where I was, right? So that's not very exciting. And then gave back a little bit, I guess, at the end of November. So, but I'm, again, this is just anything I can do, keeping my account. So the max drawdown here was 16,000, and I finished December or November down about 5,000 off my high. So to me, anything that I can do to keep my drawdowns minimal, that's where it's at. That way, when things do pick up, I'm not recouping losses. I'm, just adding fresh profit. So that means being able to tread water, trade flat, trade sideways, which is easier said than done. But sizing down, right? Reducing share size. So, what that makes me think, I had actually increased my share size when we were having those penny stocks. So I'm going to go in here and bring this back down to 20,000 share cap. Right? I thought if we were going to see more AM type of stocks, I wanted to be able to buy, maybe 100,000 shares, maybe scaling in, but that didn't end up happening. So, all right, so I'll bring my max down to 20,000, and realistically, that's probably too heavy for a lot of stocks. I could probably put it at 15,000. I'll put it at 15,000. That's probably adequate for right now. 10,000, that might be a little too low. So I'll just leave it at that. 15,000 max position size. And then, you know, here's the thing, and this happens to me. I'll be thinking I'm adding. So let me do ZVZZT. ZVZZT, NASDAQ test stock. So, so let me show you how this works. So ZVZZT is a NASDAQ test stock, so it's not a real stock. So I could do 5,000 shares, buy. Right, so now I'm in 15,000 shares of the NASDAQ test stock. This is just for the purposes of testing hotkeys and just as a demonstration for you guys. So what I might do on something like this is I'm like, okay, I like it over 1002, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna add to it, and what you'll see here is it's not gonna allow me. But I don't know that. I'm pressing the buy button. I'm seeing the green on the tape, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna add to this position. And there's times where if I didn't have the cap, I would have loaded up because I kept pressing that buy button. And that can be a problem for me. That's why I set that cap the way I do. So, you know, when I'm in that moment of seeing the tape and I'm just liking it and pressing the buy button, that can override my common sense that this isn't the market I should be that aggressive in. So that's so important for me to have that, because otherwise there are definitely times where I'll keep adding and then I'll look over and I'll be like, uh-oh, I've got 35,000 shares, you know, or something like that. So yeah, these are parameters that it's helpful to set. At least I think. I mean, you know, do whatever you want, but I think it's helpful to set these types of parameters on your account. So anyways, IMMX. Depends what kind of trader you are. 8 minutes to the opening bell here. So, you know, something that we were talking about during the trading summit last week was how my aggressiveness is why I've been able to grow my account as much as I have when I've done small account challenges, because I'm just first and foremost, like, I'm so dialed in. I don't have a lot of fear. I'm just trading very, very aggressively. But that same personality trait can also be a flaw in the sense that I can have a hard time easing off the throttle when the market's cold. And that's why, you know, my biggest red day was $275,000 in one day. So my strength there can also be a weakness. And for me, I think key to my long-term success is trying to continue to get better at being able to sort of self-regulate how aggressive I'm going to be relative to the market I'm in. So right now I am doing a pretty good job being more conservative. However, I almost feel like in the 2 or 3 days that we've had some good opportunities, I haven't been able to get back on the throttle the way I wish I had. So like I'm you know, again, I'm always looking at how I can try to do better, and I'm being a bit of a perfectionist here, but I just sort of recognize that with some of these moves that we've had, like SATX or HUDI, I wasn't as aggressive as I could have been. You know, SATX went from $40 to 80. HUDI went up to like 200. And I should have been able to do better on that. And I mean, you know, look, if that had happened during a hot market when I was already, you know, zoned in on being hot on the throttle, I would have crushed it. But it's a little hard for me to, I'm finding, to flip between aggressive and conservative. What do we have going on here? Oh, that's a trend line. All right, you guys. Well, we've got 5 minutes to the opening bell. I have no trades except for that NASDAQ test trade. So thank you guys on YouTube for hitting the thumbs up. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys as always. I am going to sit tight going into the open, and we'll see if we have any anything that shows up. But right now it feels a little cold, and I'm just kind of observing what other traders are talking about that are in the community, and it doesn't seem like people are really on something that's really hot and I'm missing it. It seems like others are in the same camp of just kind of sitting tight right now, not sure what to trade. So I think that'll be our game plan here for today, just to kind of take it slow. All right, so thanks as always for those on YouTube for tuning in. Reminders always that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so don't try to blindly follow me or anyone else. And I'll see you guys back here first thing tomorrow morning. All right, I'll see you in the morning.